All right. Today is November 4th, 2025, and this is my review. You can see we had a pretty good um, session today, up about $150 before commissions. Um, I'm really, really happy with the way that this P&L curve turned out. Um, Despite starting the day on a loss, we kept things moving upward. Total of 9 trades with a 66% win rate. Um, 6 wins, 3 losses. Average win was 3.6 ticks, and my average loss was 3.3 ticks. So um, my risk reward was positive, but still pretty close to 1 to 1, which I'm very happy with. Um, if I can maintain those stats long term, I would be very happy. Um, I'm not going to set any P&L goals for myself for at least the next couple months. I just want to focus on base hits. I want to keep nailing these small little trades, 3, 4, 5 tick wins. That's really all I can ask for. Um, the losses were consistent. I had 3 losses, and they're all roughly the same size. Um, they did grow a little bit over the session. So my first loss was 2 ticks. My second loss was 3 ticks. My last loss was 5 ticks. Um, but so are my winners. My winners were slowly growing in size um, until I finally finished the session with a 7 tick winner, which was a pretty good place to end it. I'm trying not to set a time limit for myself anymore. Last month, I had a time limit of 1 hour to trade each day, but what I found was that I was kind of facing contentment issues in that uh, it would get close to an hour and I would start pressing trades because I wanted to finish the day green before that time expired. Now I just kind of want to be a little bit more casual about it. I'm done trading whenever I feel I should be done trading. And today that was after that one big win. So uh, let's jump into trades. First, I want to briefly cover yesterday's report card. Um, there were a lot of issues yesterday, um, specifically with unnecessary losses. I had these 3 big losses right at the beginning of the session that were just totally unnecessary. They were horrible trades. They were against the trend. They had poor location. They had almost no factors of support. Because I just wasn't paying enough attention to context. Um, I like to think that I fixed that mistake today. I was paying attention. I was narrating a lot, like over narrating almost, if that's even a thing, and just trying to pay as much attention as I possibly could to the price action, which I think went very well for me. The things I needed to improve on from yesterday were stop fighting my system, and I did exactly that. I trusted my system today, and I'm so happy I did because um, a pretty stark contrast, as you can see yesterday, there was no real directional bias. I started short and then I went long a couple times and then I tried a short again and then I went long and then I flipped short and then I took a couple more longs and then I ended the day short. Compare that to today, I was short for the first 10 minutes and then there was a big gap in my trading. I didn't place a single trade for almost 10, 15 minutes after that, and then it was all long. And the reason for that is because if I click on if I click on my last short trade, we're downtrending pretty clearly. If I click on my last long trade, we're uptrending. So first 10 minutes of the session, we were puking and I'm short biased. And then we flip and I'm long biased for the rest of the day. I didn't flip my bias again for the rest of the day. That's how my trading should look. It should look like I have a clear bias in one direction, and it's okay to switch. It's okay to flip that bias, but it should stay there. It should be clear, and I should be trading in the right direction. And I think that's exactly what I did today, and I'm so proud that I managed to maintain that. Other things that I wish that I wanted to carry forward from yesterday were um, take more breaks. I think I took 1 or 2 breaks today. Just got up, walked away, made a cup of coffee, whatever. Um, just to refresh your brain, all it takes is 30 seconds. Just walk away from the screen, look around, stretch your legs. That's all it takes. Just take more breaks. Um, and then just listen to context. That was another big one today. Just listen to what the chart is telling you, and don't try to fight it. Don't think you're smarter than it. Don't think you're smarter than the trend. That's exactly what I did. So let's jump into some trades. First, just very briefly, let's look at the plan for today. Simple, so simple. It takes me 10 seconds to do these, and I should be doing it every day. This is the daily chart. We are by the time that the market opened, we were trading above VWAP but inside the upper band. So I wrote here daily chart is accepting back into the VWAP band, but be careful with time frame confluence. What I mean by that is if the time frames aren't aligning, like if we're long biased on one but we're short biased on another, but maybe we're in between on the small time frame, if they don't match, just be careful because it's probably going to be inside day. It's probably going to be super choppy. It should be risk off. Watch for acceptance above prior day low. That never ended up happening during my session, at least. And don't go long beneath the VWAP lower band. That is so important to why I was successful today. That played a huge role. At no point did I ever go long when we were under the lower VWAP band, and at no point did I ever go short when we were above the upper VWAP band. And that is just so important because we spent the majority of the session doing either one of those things. We were either below the lower VWAP band or we were above it. And at no point did I fight that trend. And that is the key to my success today. It's super important that I remember that. Trades. Let's get into some trades. Drink some water real quick. All right. So, first trade number 1 is a 2-tick loss to the short side. Let's go ahead and watch the replay. I will also listen to it. Back up just a couple seconds. Very similar to yesterday's open in that there are not many pullbacks. Got a pretty decent one here. I'm going to short 99.75. A little too quick on the entry, but let's see what it gives us. I'll take the 3 ticks if it'll give it to me. I'm going to have to get out of it for a 2-tick loss, unfortunately. So unfortunately, I took a 2-tick loss, but it worked. It would have given me almost 2 points if I had just stayed in a little bit longer. I think I made an execution error in that I tried to get out of it for 3 ticks profit, and it never gave it to me. And instead of pulling that order and waiting for the next opportunity, I chased it. I chased my limit order up all the way to 2-tick loss. So this first trade should have been a profit, but I accidentally took it off for a loss. The daily VWAP at this point is trading below, just barely below VWAP. Weekly, I think, is the same. I just want to paste these tags in real quick. But I want to, I think on the last one we were 39.70. We can change just a little bit. I think we came up ever so slightly. But anyways, let's tag this for what it is. I'm going to call this below -1 VWAP. I'm not sure I had a pulse check at this point. I did. I had one pulse check, and I think it was a bad pulse check. That being said, with the trend, I still am very clear on what's going on here. Pretty calm. I didn't have my heart rate monitor up yet, but I was very calm this morning. I'm pretty content. I had a lot of I did a breathing exercise yesterday and a hypnosis about contentment, and that I just need to be okay with small base hits. It's not about profit. I think I've been struggling lately with sizing up too aggressively. Like I was trying to put on some 2-lot minis, which was just a little too much for me. Two lots was just a little too aggressive because it was forcing me to think about P&L. I think 1-lot minis is the way to go for now. You know, don't obsess about it. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about where my stop loss is. Don't worry about how many ticks I'm getting. Just trade the setup. You know, one good trade. That's it. I'm gonna take maybe patient because this is pretty quick after the open. We're only 4 minutes after the open at this point. Factors of support. I'm gonna spoof tag this. I think this is kind of a spoof. We're trying to push lower and then we pull up really quick on no volume. So I'm gonna tag that with spoofing. I did not have any big order blocks in my favor, but I do have the trend in my favor. And what does the tape look like? Got a pretty decent one here. I'm gonna short 99.75. Little too quick on the entry. Oh yeah, that's pretty strong tape. What it gives us. Pretty strong. So I'm gonna tag that strong tape. Volume gap. Did we have a volume gap? I don't think so. Not really. Entry good. Exit early. I'm gonna tag this one with fear. I think I was a little too jittery off the open. This was a conservative scalp in a risk-off environment. This was an ATR candle fade. I need to get the ATR indicator on this chart. You guys can't see it, but on my execution monitor, I can see where the ATR candles are. And this was one of them. We had momentum. I'm going to call this an A setup. And we are below the 50 SMA, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, well below it. And I had slip favor. This will be a green star. There's not a whole lot to break down. I'm not even going to bother screenshotting it because it's simple. We're below the VWAP. We're trending lower. Good trade. Trade number 2 is a 4-tick profit to the short side. I'm going to rewind and listen to the narration. Retest of the support. I'm going to try the short at 80.5. Looks like I got filled at 80.5. I'll take it off at 99.25. Took it off at 99.50 for the point. So tried to get 6 ticks out of it, but took the point. I think taking the point there was a good call. This is an opening range retest. So I'm going to tag this area of interest. And I'm actually going to screenshot this. Where are we on VWAP? I think we're technically just below VWAP on this one. Let me do my emotional tags first. Heart rate was good. I am calm. I am content. Maybe patient, because again, I'm a little aggressive off the open here. I'm going to want to screenshot this guy for sure. So let's do that. Get my flame shot out. So Opening range retest right here. Boom, boom. My entries were roughly as follows. And a trend. All right. Paste that in there. I'm going to tag this breakout, but it was also an ATR candle fade. I'm going to call this an A plus setup. I had a lot working for me here. I had an area of interest, which is the opening range low. I had a support resistance area here that we bounced off of, or that we retested, sorry. Support resistance area. Strong tape. We had some pretty decent order blocks that we were trading into. Good continuation. Trend favor. Multiple factors of support. Yeah, I like this one a lot. Alright, entry good. I'm gonna tag it exit early, just for the sake of it. I could have got a couple more ticks out of it. This was a conservative scalp. No mistakes. slip favor, and this will be a green star, obviously. Really, really liked this one. Make sure the screenshot's in there. It is. Trade number 3 is a 3-tick profit to the short side. 99. Build. I'm going to take it off for 2 tick. Just another quick scalp. So yeah, this one's just a quick little scalp. Not nearly as many factors of support as the last one, but still decent. This was an ATR candle fade with momentum. I'll call this a C setup. It's not great, but it pays the bills. Below the moving average. VWAP, we are below -1. Calm, content, maybe patient. Still pretty quick after the open. Heart rate's good. I am pretty clear on my read at this moment. I did have one big order block to trade into and one small one, so I'll tag those. How does the tape look? Tape's not necessarily that strong, so I won't tag that, but I did have trend favor. That's about it. Can I tag that as spoofing? No, I don't think I will tag that as spoofing. Entry good, exit good. I maybe could have held this longer, but I captured the whole ATR candle, which is all I really want out of these trades. And it would have came back on me, so actually that was a perfect exit. Conservative scalp, risk off, no mistakes, slip favor, green star. Trade number 4 is a 3-tick loss to the short side. Let's go ahead and watch it. Try again at 125. Getting a little aggressive here. I took it out for a 3-tick loss. So I think this was a decent trade. However, there is a little bit of missing context. I think we're kind of starting to set up a slip range here, and we're retesting that prior support area twice now. Taking the first retest is kind of like a no-brainer, because price is trying to see if anyone's interested in bidding up there, and they're not, and it fails. So that's a good short setup. However, if it's testing twice, you got to be a little bit more careful, because the more times a support resistance area is tested, the harder it can break. So the fact that I'm getting short on the second test of it is a little risky, but it's still a decent setup. I can't really complain about it too much. It meets most of the requirements of my system. I think the one thing that I did wrong here is that I'm short above the 50 moving average, which isn't necessarily a rule. It's more sort of a guideline. So I'm going to tag this as a D setup. I don't like it that much. This was an ATR candle fade. And this was a momentum trade. I'm trying to carry the momentum downwards. I did have slip favor. I'm going to tag this as aggressive. I think I'm getting just a little too handsy with the market here. And I noticed that because this is the last trade that I place for the next 15 minutes. I take quite a long break. Execution wise, I think the entry was decent. Let's watch it again. I'm gonna try again at 125. I'm gonna tag this as entry early because it's a little aggressive. It's a little too quick. Entry early, exit good. I'm glad I got out of it for a 3-tick loss because it goes back against me a lot after that. I have some big order blocks in my favor. I have some small order blocks in my favor. The tape was not strong at this point. I do technically have trend favor, but price is too tight, so I'm going to tag that. Where's my too tight tag? Price action too tight. It's not literally tight, but it's too close to the moving average is what I mean by that tag. This was a scalp. My market rate was in between because I'm still short biased here, but it's about to rip face. My calmness was still good. I was still very content with this small loss, but maybe patient. These are still pretty quick succession, these trades. I'm going to yellow star this one. VWAP, we're at the time of placing this trade, it would have been above the lower band. Trade number 5 is a 5-tick profit to the long side. 2-second hold time, so it works really quick in my favor. Let's rewind so I can listen to the narration. There's a pretty sharp move down. 1775 long, out at 19s. So very, very quick trade. I like this one a lot. I'm gonna have to screenshot it. I don't want to spend forever screenshotting each trade, but I'm gonna have to. And I should embrace that because I actually like it. I do genuinely like screenshotting trades. So there is a support resistance here. And this is my entry, my exit. So we're coming down and retesting a prior range. So there is a range here. So it's like a range retest. Prior range retest. Very strong trend here. Plus 5 ticks long. It was quick too, man. It was very quick. We also got some good, strong tape. Strong tape. Yeah, good trade. I don't really know what else to say about it. It's just a good little prior range test. Paste that in there. Tags, we had the strong tape. We had a small order block in our favor, but not a big one. We had a support resistance area. We had trend favor. I'll tag this multiple factors of support. Entry good, exit good. Conservative scout. Was this aggressive? It's pretty aggressive. My entry was fast. ATR candle, I think. So I technically didn't have one because that is a wick. When it wicks like that, it's not technically an ATR candle, so I'm not going to tag that. But this is a momentum to set up technically. I'll call it a B setup. No area of interests. I had slip favor for sure. I was clear here basically just because of the trend. calmness, I'm going to say maybe calm, but I am content and I am patient. I did wait a long time after that last trade. And we are above VWAP +1. That will be a green star. Did I paste the screenshot in there? Yes, I did. Okay. Trade number 6 is a 2-tick profit to the long side. One is extremely tight. I'll take 2 ticks profit on it. 33.75. So very quick trade there. I think that was a solid trade. It got a good ATR candle, but it's so tight that I can't really hold the world for it, especially since what I described before, we're so tight on the moving average. We're so close to that 5-day. So I make a good point. Price action is pretty tight here, so I'm going to go ahead and tag that. But regardless, this is an ATR candle continuation with momentum. B setup. Oh, I have not been tagging the moving average the last couple trades. Let me make sure I'm doing that. This was above, that was above, below, 80.5. So it is technically below. Got a pretty, all right, back to where we were. So price action is pretty tight here, so it's not a great setup. In fact, I'm going to switch this from a B to a C setup. They're decent setups. They pay the bills, but I'm not in love with them. I don't want to hold them for the world, and that's exactly what I did. I only got 2 ticks out of it. Slip none. There's not really a lot of slip here. I'm clear. I'm calm. I'm content, and I'm patient. Excuse me. Trend, we are still above +1. What did I have for factors of support? I had trend favor, obviously. Not a whole lot else. Yeah. There's not a lot of factors of support for this guy. Just trend. Yeah. What about tape? Tape looks pretty strong from what I could tell, so maybe I'll tag strong tape. Entry good, exit good. I don't think this was worth more than 2 ticks. Conservative, scalp, risk off. And it'll be a green star. I like it. I think I knew what the EV was here. I only took it for 2 ticks, which I think is what it was worth. Trade number 7 is a 1 tick profit to the long side. 34.75 long. I'm gonna take it off for 1 tick profit. It's just kind of taking too long for collecting. I am totally fine with that. Yeah, so I'm trying to fade an ATR candle, but we're in the middle of a slip range, and I don't have a great slip advantage on it. It would have worked in hindsight if it would have pulled back on me about 3 or 4 ticks, and then it would have worked. But the problem with that is there's a lot of slip risk here. There's a lot of potential for a stop run. It's now starting to downtrend a little bit. We're getting like lower highs on the 3-second chart. So I'm just not crazy about it per se. At the time of entry, we were below the 50 SMA. So this was an ATR candle fade with momentum. Kind of a mean reversion too. I'm gonna call this a C setup. I technically had slip favor. My market rate is in between just because the trend is kind of changing here. Maybe, no, I'm pretty calm. Content and patient. There's quite a bit of time between trades here. We had some big order blocks, small order blocks, tape. Tape isn't crazy strong. They kind of cancel out. We technically have support resistance. That's about it. Entry good. Exit good. This was a bit of an aggressive scalp. But other than that, I think it was a good trade. We're still above the +1 VWAP. This will be a green star. Trade number 8 is a 5-tick loss to the long side. This is my biggest loss of the session. Let's watch it. I'm going to try to work an exit at 41.50. But it doesn't look like I'm going to get it. I pulled that off. I pulled that out for, I think, that was a pretty good cut. There's a couple things that I want to point out contextually. I can see why I took this trade, and it was it's a half decent setup, but there's some things working against me here. For one, we're putting in these peaks, which is fine. If we're putting in peaks, it doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't a trend to trade, but it just means that if I'm close to one of these peaks, I gotta be careful because there's a lot of there's a vacuum that's trying to suck price back down. Price may keep going up and putting in higher highs because these peaks are higher highs. If they're lower highs, then that's a problem. We're in a downtrend. I should not be trading these. But they're higher highs, which means they're tradable, but you just got to be careful because on the smallest time frame, price is going to be trying to suck back in on those, which is exactly what it did here. So I just got to make a note here. Be careful of peaks. Price wants to suck back down on the small time frame. It's struggling. Price is struggling to get up there. It might get up there and the buyers might win in the long run, but on the smallest possible time frame, which is what I'm trading, they're struggling. They're struggling to get up there. So I just need to be careful. Minus 5 ticks long. Everything else looks good though. Still a strong trend. Yeah, that's all I wanted to point out. So let's paste that in there. We had small order blocks in our favor. We had the trend favor. But that's about it. I don't think we had much else going for us. Entry early, exit good. This was an aggressive scalp. This was technically an ATR candle fade with momentum, but I'm going to call it a D setup. I don't like it that much. We're above the 50 MA when I take the entry. Slip favor. I'm going to say I'm in between on my market read here, but I am still calm. I am content. I am patient. I was very content with this loss. I'm going to change my calmness to maybe, actually, because my heart rate is pretty high here. And we're still above the VWAP +1. This will be a yellow star. Trade number 9 is a 7-tick profit to the long side. Shot long 39.75. This was quite a bit careful about the slip range potential 30 seconds. I do have slip advantage. There is just a bit of a micro trend against me. Take it off 41.50. Got it. So great trade. Good slip advantage. There was a bit of a slip range that got put in back here, and I got pretty much the bottom of that slip range, which was really good. It took a while. It like hovered on the lower end of the range for a bit, which is worrying because if something's accepting too long at the bottom end of a range or at the top, it's usually going to set up for a breakout, which I was worried about. However, we're still making higher lows when we're doing that. We do come back down and test one more time on the 3-second chart, but we defend it and it just goes. I think if I'm going long down here and we start putting in lower lows and lower highs, then I need to get out. I need to make a decision. But the fact that I got in and then we just kind of hovered around and we made a couple higher highs and stable lows, it's worth holding. It's worth holding on to for sure. Tags. I had a couple of small order blocks. I had trend favor and range favor, which sounds weird, but we do have a small range in a larger trend. I had slip favor, entry good, exit good, conservative scalp. This was an ATR candle fade, so it was a pullback with momentum. I'm gonna call this an A setup. It's pretty good. Maybe I'll call it a B setup just because I don't have multiple factors of support. And we are above the 50 SMA, if I remember correctly. No, actually, we're technically below it at the time of entry. Clear, calm, content, patient, all of the above. I think I was doing pretty good here. And we're still well above the VWAP. And this will be a green star. So that's pretty much my session. Go back and look at it filtered by rating. No red star trades today, which I am very happy about. All of these trades were decent, and that's all that matters. P&L does not matter. Whatever the number says at the end of the day does not matter. It's just about the next setup, the next trade. And I think I did an excellent job of maintaining that mindset today. Let's jump into daily report card. So, my long-term goal is to never attempt an idea more than twice. And I didn't attempt a single idea more than once today, which I'm very proud of. Everything that I attempted was just one and done. I went for it. I traded it and then I was done. I didn't overtrade anything. I didn't, hit the gas unnecessarily. I didn't fall in love with any one idea. In fact, I did the opposite. And when shorts were no longer working for me, I switched. If I filter this by direction, you can see my first 4 trades were short. They stopped working, and then I switched to long, and my longs worked for the rest of the day for the most part, which I'm very proud of. So if I'm grading myself based on that, then today was an A+. I mean, today could not have been better. It was just awesome. I followed my system. I didn't fight my system at all. I listened to it and I trusted it. And it worked. Today was great trading, just focusing on the setup, focusing on the trade. I'm not worrying about where my stop loss is or how much I'm going to make from this trade or anything like that. I'm just trading what's in front of me. Don't trade what you think you see, trade what you see. And that's exactly what I did today. I'm very, very proud. Easiest trade would probably be, oof, that's a good question. It might be, probably objectively, it's going to be trade number 5, which was my first long trade of the session. It came down, it filled my bid, and then it instantly went in my favor. 2-second hold time. And the setup's awesome. Like what else do you need? You know, it's we're breaking out, or we're retesting a prior range. We have a strong trend upwards. It's a long trade, which I prefer being long most of the time. It's got so much working for it, and multiple factors of support. Like this was an A plus trade. It really doesn't get better than that. Instantly worked in my favor. So very proud of that one. Um, things I did good. I listened to my system. I did not fight my system, which is so important. There's been way too many times in the last month or two where I've just been stepping on my own feet and getting in the way of my system and thinking that I'm smarter than it, and it never works, you know. Granted, some of that is experimentation and figuring out the pressure points of my system and what works and what doesn't, but for the most part, what I have now, I know works. And there might come a market environment where it doesn't work anymore, and that's totally fine. But this system, as of right now, is working. It's reliable. It's easy. It's easy to execute, and it's not complicated. It doesn't require a lot of upkeep and tracking and indicators. It's very simple, um, and it has a lot of potential. Um, so the fact that I am now listening to that system and I'm not fighting it is nothing but a good thing. It's awesome. I'm so proud of that. Um, I am also extremely proud of the fact that I um, did not fight my bias at all today. Um, I do technically have a tag that's against bias, but that only exists for risk on, risk off scenarios. And today was a risk off scenario. So when I'm aggressive in a risk off environment, I tag against bias because I'm against my risk bias. But as far as my price action bias, I mean, the direction says it all. You know, short in the morning, long in the afternoon. That's exactly what the trend did. Go back and look at it. Today's November 4th, 2025. Look at the trend. Straight down in the morning, straight up after that. So, I mean, it really doesn't get better than that. Things I need to improve on. I still think there's a bit of doubt in my system, and some of the trades today I was taking off way too early because I didn't trust it, and I just need to have that confidence. You know, like I think trade number one was a great example of that, where I had a really really good setup, but I took it off for a two tick loss. Two ticks drawdown is nothing. You know, I could easily let a trade breathe more than that.
Short 99.
But I think I was a little jittery. I was a little scared. I wasn't confident with my system at this point in the morning. I could have got 2 points out of it. So I moving forward, you know, just embrace the confidence. You know this system works. Lean into it. You know, like let the system carry you throughout the day. Don't second guess it and try to be smarter than the system. And I think that might be it. I can't think of too much more that I would need to improve on today. I think today was a perfect session, literally a perfect session. A plus. I wish every session could look like this, and I strive for that. I just focus on the next trade, focus on the next setup. Don't worry about your account. Don't worry about what time you got to work today. Don't worry about where your P&L is at currently. Just focus on the next trade. Focus on the next setup. What is your system telling you? And when I do that, it works. It clearly works. So moving forward, I just got to keep doing that, and let's hope that this kind of trading continues.